Hello, wonderful. It is Sarah, and I do want to say thank you so much for your thoughts and prayers and messages and sweet love for me this week as my family experienced a really hard thing. Most of you probably know, but for those of you who don't, my stepson was involved in a car accident where he was with a friend, and the friend actually passed away. My stepson it was very bad. There was LifeStar involved. They had to cut my stepson out of the car with like the jaws of life, and we didn't find out about it because he had a concussion. So no one, there was no one to call, and we were in a different state because of our anniversary, and it's been a crazy week. It's been a really crazy week, and um, when you have this crazy life like I do, and all your life is public, and it's all, the craziness and the grief and all that you kind of do in front of other people. And so some of you have been so sweet and said, oh, we want to respect your privacy during this time. And I almost kind of giggle and say, oh, what privacy? But my dad was a bit in the public eye. And so I have grown up, my entire life has been like this. It's not just since I started this career and with you guys, but I always do everything I can to lead by example and to lead for real and to tell you stuff for real and to go through life with you for real. Because it's easy to hide behind a certification. It's easy to hide behind a degree. There was a friend I had yesterday, and we were having a discussion. She was talking about another life coach, and I was talking about a therapist I'd met, and they were always asking really deep, probing questions about you. Like, you need to be vulnerable. You need to tell me about your grief. You need to open up yourself, but I'm going to hide behind the fact that I don't have to open up myself. And that does not align with my integrity. You don't have to know everything about me, just like I should not know everything about you. That's one of the things we talk about in the Wondrous Woman program is what's appropriate to tell, what's not appropriate to tell, what are appropriate boundaries within that. There are boundaries. But having a situation where you are vulnerable and I am not does not align with who I want to be, does not align with who I want to be as a coach, does not align with who I want to be as a person, nor do I think it's best practices because it involves two humans completely playing by a different set of rules. Okay? Which is the definition of a toxic relationship. So for those of you who are new to the group, wow, you get a really interesting version of me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Most of you have been around for a while, and so this is just part of that journey and part of what I'm going to share with you guys. So two things I definitely want to talk about. One, what to do when you're sad, what to do to grieve, what to do when bad things happen, how to process those feelings. Okay, because of COVID restrictions, I was not allowed to go to the hospital. They're only allowing one person at a time, which when we were out of town was grandmother, and then of course my husband went in, and so yesterday I had been supposed to be on an anniversary vacation, had the whole day cleared, and then what to really do with a whole day cleared, and the loneliness of that. Not because I didn't reach out to people. I actually talked about 4 or 5 friends on the phone because that's my coping strategy, right? And a healthy coping strategy. But really just to allow yourself a day off, a day in, if it's possible. I know sometimes it's not. Usually, I talk to people about scheduling an hour of sadness and just giving yourself full permission during that hour to just not be on, to be sad, to be angry, to be whatever it is that you need to be. And I use the word give yourself permission very honestly and authentically and truly. And just say, I don't have to be cute today. I don't have to be nice today. I don't have to be, you do have to be nice to people in your life. But just such an unusual circumstance in my own life that really, like, a whole day was just like empty. And the loneliness that comes up from that, and I'm one of, I have to be one of the least lonely people that I know. But just not having the distraction of kids around, not having the distraction of life around, not having the distraction of work, not having the distraction of, and having lots of difficult feelings stirred up, feelings of fear, feelings of exhaustion from traveling across several states at the last minute when you didn't realize you were going to. I didn't feel that well last week. So I was already down from there. And when that happens, what do you do? Because it happens to everybody. And just giving yourself permission. Yesterday was my just day off. I was just not on yesterday. I talked to friends. I, watched TV, which I hardly ever do. I didn't try to accomplish anything. I didn't try to busy my way through it. I was sad. I was scared. I was tired. And I just was. Which all my previous coaches and life coaches would, like, glory hallelujah, be shouting up and down, because I'm so good at powering through, as many of you have had to be, because you're in relationships and in situations where you were forced to power through for years, and you probably got really good at it. And I think that's one of the reasons so many of my clients are in their 50s, because children are a lovely distraction from having to power through, just go to the ball field and just busy your way through this and just busy your way through this. And you don't have to experience those difficult emotions. It's just easier to push them away. Yet they keep coming up. So as I, the silver lining from this experience, as I try to always be, okay, how do I handle it? What is, how do I handle it at this version of myself versus how I would have handled it in the years past, which is just busy, playing something, just giving yourself permission to suck. Maybe it's the best way to say it. Just giving yourself permission to suck that day, and not accomplish anything, and not busy your way through, and not be anything for anybody. And of course, I asked my mother-in-law and my husband and these people, what can I do to help? But there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do, which doesn't feel very good when it's a caretaker personality, right? If you like helping others, if you like taking care of others, right? We're good at that. Oh, you need me to do this? Great. I can busy my way through that. I can busy my way through that grief by being helpful. And interestingly enough, COVID did not allow me to do that. So I could say, is there anything I could do? And they said no, and there was nothing I could do. Even sitting in the hospital waiting room, I could not do. I couldn't even be supportive in that way. So just being with your feelings, which I hardly ever talk about, because honestly, it's something I've had to really work on. I'm really good at helping. I'm really good at busying my way through, as I know you are too. Okay, so that's lesson one. And I also want to talk about communication and what to do when people do not have ears to hear. And you guys are my community, you guys are my people, even though I have not met you in real life, this is my tribe. This is where I live, right? I have people in my real life too, but this is where I live, in this community. And so I just want to be real and say I absolutely hate this happened. And I predicted that this was going to happen. And there have been many situations in my own life where I was saying, there are some red flags. We need to be concerned. There's going to be something bad happen. There needs to be some changes in behavior. There needs to be some modifications. There needs to be some more supervision. There needs to be some more. There's, for those of you who don't know, before I did this work, I ran a mental health campaign for a high school. I love teenagers. I've worked with teenagers for a long time. Worked at a school that there was a cheerleader who was shot in her bed by a football player, and started a mental health campaign that gained national attention about toxic relationships, of course, helping teenagers process toxic relationships so they did not prolong in their life, as well as teaching them soft skills that a phone cannot teach them. It's called Mental Health Mondays, and received a lot of really good things, as well as actually a couple of other behavior modification and mental health campaigns for one of the largest school systems in the country. And that's what I did before this, if anyone's curious. And so I've worked with teenagers a lot, work with the mental health component, what's normal, what's not, what's this, what's that, how to get them in the right direction. And I say this to you because some of you have people in your own life who you are saying, can't you see what's happening? Can't you see your parent is toxic? Can't you see that you're, maybe somebody else in a toxic relationship? Can't you see how much I love you and I'm trying to make this work? Can't you see? Can't you see? Can't you see? And I want to be so clear. And if you need to forgive yourself, or you need to move on, or you need to whatever you need to see, it may not be what you are saying. It may be that they do not have ears to hear. And in my own life, I have consistently, whatever situation I'm in, people talk about what an excellent communicator I am. How I'm able to simplify language. How I'm able to make complicated things understandable. How I'm able to give word pictures and analogies and connection where it's just like, oh, okay, I get it. If people have ears to hear. And I say this to say, in my own life, in a situation very close to me, there were people who did not have ears to hear. I brought data and charts and experience and experts in and all this. You would not believe how much work I have put in trying to get people to have ears to hear, to avoid this very, 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 very specific tragedy. And it was a tragedy. Literally, someone died. It's horrible. And when it happened, my friends from my real life texted me and said, you predicted this. And I said, what an awful thing to be right about. What an awful thing to be right about. But I had spent so much time and effort and energy in, and brought so much expertise in, both mine and others, and said, do you see all the flags are red? All the flags are red. All the flags are red. All the flags are red. Here is why. Here is this expert opinion. Here is this study. Here is this. Here is that. And they did not have ears to hear because they did not want what I was saying to be correct. It wasn't that they doubted me. It was that they didn't want me to be right. It's a horrible thing to be right about. There's no pride or sense. But I know some of you are begging people in your life to have ears to hear. And I want to give you the gift and the vulnerability and the lead by example that I try to lead with integrity in so many ways for you. And I don't think you look at me and think she's not a good enough communicator, or she doesn't have enough background, or she doesn't have enough expertise in the area for them to listen. They just didn't want me to be right. So if there's a situation in your own life where you're thinking, how can I say it a different way, or say it a different way, or, how can I get them to grow ears? There's a helplessness in knowing they don't have ears, which I understand deeply. But I also want you, if you need to work on your communication, do so. But many of you are in situations that there is no way they are ever going to hear you because they don't want you to be right. They don't want to believe that about their parent. They don't want to believe that about their son. They don't want to believe that about their friend. They don't want to believe because then they have to step up their game. If they are somehow responsible or accountable for the bad behavior, and you say, whoa, 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 there's bad behavior happening, it's going to get worse. There's bad behavior happening, it's going to get worse. There's bad behavior happening, it's going to get worse. And they don't want to address it, and they don't want to see it, and they don't want you to be right. The words you say may not be the problem. How you say it may not be the problem. The problem is before you even open your mouth, they've decided, I'm not going to change my behavior because I don't want to see. I don't want to set consequences. I don't want to set boundaries. I don't want to have that hard conversation. I don't want to see my parent as that. I don't want to see my husband as that. I don't want to see my friend as that. And so if you are one of those people in one of those situations, my heart goes out to you. There's such a helplessness involved within that, especially when you think, okay, next time I can use different words. Oh, I'll use this study and this author and this, it's still that smart girl syndrome of like, okay, I just need to figure out the right words to say. And so if that is you, I'm so sorry. And I understand the helplessness, and I understand the feelings of you want it to be a problem to solve, and instead it ends up being a crisis to manage. And that's a huge distinction we have in the Wonderwoman program, the things we talk about. Is it a problem to solve or a crisis to manage? And having crises to manage that are not getting solved absolutely suck. And having situations, there's toxic situations that you can control and you can fix and you can do something about. And then there's situations where you don't have any power over the situation. And you're scared and you see what's happening and you see what the consequences of what could happen. You try to get help, you try to do this, you try to do this, you try to do that. And you keep ending up at the same place. I want you to really think about that in your head and say, is the problem what I'm saying? Or is the problem that they do not want me to be right? They do not have ears to hear. They don't want to change their behavior, and so it's just easier to not believe you. But if they don't believe you, and you've worked at, there's definitely ways, and we talk in the Wonderwoman program about ways to be more heard, because there's more people who have ears than who don't. They really do. But there's probably that one or two or three people in your life you just think, oh, if they could just see what is happening, that we could all make improvements to avoid tragedy, or to avoid a divorce, or to avoid a loss of a relationship, or to avoid whatever. So I hope that distinction helps you, and I hope it's a weird thing to lead by example on, but my guess is you're not looking at me thinking she didn't know how to communicate the red flags. She did not know how to communicate the red flags that could possibly come up in the situation. She didn't, that sure seems to not be the case. And like I said, it's a horrible thing to be right about. Yet here we are. So as what good can come from any tragedy? My whole life is built on being authentic, being real, leading by example and taking the lessons from my own life and hoping that it can enhance your life in some way and make your life better. And it's an odd life in some ways, and it's a beautiful life in some ways, because people say, oh gosh, well, you can't get people to listen to you, and I can't get most people to listen to me, but there's certain situations people are just so emotionally connected to, and it's like, I don't want to set boundaries, I don't want to be stricter, I don't want to change my behavior, I don't want, and so it's just easier to let, in their mind, it's just easier to let chaos ensue until it's not easier anymore. And so if you have babies and children, and you are in the place that you have guilt and you think, I don't want to, it's easier to be the friend, not the parent, because I feel bad about what happened in the toxic relationship, or I feel bad about what happened in the past, or I feel bad that they're in a broken home, or I feel bad that I put up with this. Your kids need a parent, not a friend. And they need structure and boundaries to prevent tragedy. And in the Character Disturbance book that I read recently, he talked about, so there's a whole chapter on manipulative children. And it talked about, it had the example of, a woman, and her husband had scared her and, manipulated her and all this kind of stuff, and then it was replaying with the child. And the therapist said, well, if you didn't learn how to stand up to one person, it's going to be difficult to learn how to stand up to the next person. And it was such a sad story, because of course the woman, I don't want to lose the child. When I set boundaries with them, they're mad at me, and I've already lost my husband. Do I have to leave my child first too? I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I know that setting those boundaries and structure is the right thing to do. And for those of you other step parents out there who may be like, oh no, we need to fix this problem, but don't have any of the power or authority to fix the problem, my heart goes out to you as well. Control what you can, let go of what you can't, keep up the good fight, and hopefully, eventually, they grow ears and they can hear you. But set those strict boundaries and structures with your kids that you can control, that you do have ownership and responsibility for. And I hope that helps. I know that was a very different live than usual. I'm probably not as chipper. I did try to wear my tie-dye shirt, so at least I'm chipper, but honestly, it's like my pajamas. And, I didn't leave my house yesterday. I was just sad and angry at those things. So I do hope that helps you guys. Like I said, sometimes life happens, and the only thing we can do is learn from it. The only thing we can do is learn from it and move forward. So I hope that helps you guys. Thank you for all your love and care and concern this week. My stepson is not okay right now, but he will eventually be okay. And just continue to send good thoughts and prayers to the family who lost their son. It's always sad when bad things happen. And to me, it's especially sad when there was just no reason. It was just so preventable from, better decisions having been made. It's just so preventable, so preventable. So anyway, thank you for allowing me to share with you. I hope someone can take something away from this so that they can make their lives better, because what else is there? Sometimes horrible things just happen, and we just try to figure out where to go from here. So this is where I try to go from here, as you guys have known me for a while. So thank you for your love, and thank you, Cindy. Thank you for your love through this, and sending you big love. Thanks.